Hey everyone! So today I wanted to talk to you guys about dialogue. I had a chance with my former students where I kind of just talked to everyone individually about it, but I really wanted to just have a video up of just some basics of how to write using dialogue. So we're going to go over a couple vocab words, which you guys probably already know, but it's always good to review. So the two vocab words I kind of want to focus on today are dialogue and dialogue tag. Dialogue, as most of you know, is a conversation between two or more characters as a feature of a book, play, or movie. People really tend to enjoy dialogue because it tends to be easier to read. The second vocab term, dialogue tag, also often referred to as an attribution, is a small phrase either before, after, or in between the actual dialogue itself. It really is just there to help the reader know who the heck is talking. What I wanted to do is just show you guys a few basic examples of where you guys would have a piece of dialogue or conversation between a character to someone else and the dialogue tag, and how to use grammar properly. A lot of times people get confused with commas and where do the quotation marks go? Does it go inside or outside of this punctuation? And like punctuation and grammar just really tends to be the struggle of a lot of people, when otherwise dialogue is really fun and pretty easy to write once you get the hang of it. We're going to go ahead and start with dialogue tags at the beginning. Again, not as common, but still pretty good to know. Our three sentences are: Schnoz murmured, mint chocolate chip is the best ice cream. Sarah yelled, I'm a nurse. And Robbie asked, what is going on? Notice that there is always a comma between the dialogue tag and the actual dialogue. The dialogue is what the character is actually saying, or the words that show up in between the quotation marks. The quotation marks hug the dialogue, so the punctuation will always be within the quotation marks, never outside them. That happens a lot when we go over our narrative unit. I will have students who will have this beautiful piece of dialogue and they have their quotations, but then they have like the period after the quotation mark, and it really needs to be whatever they're saying, period, quotations. Quotations always hug everything that that character is saying, including that character's punctuation mark, whether it's a comma, and if it's interrogative, like a question mark, or if it's exclamatory, like an exclamation point. You always need to watch out for pronoun confusion. Obviously, that's not the case here because I'm using proper nouns like Schnoz, Sarah, and Robbie. But if you use words like he said, she said, and you have like multiple characters who are female or multiple characters who are male, then that can cause confusion. If you want to go with the pronoun they for someone singular, just like one person, you can. But again, it can cause confusion for the reader, like, okay, who said this? And if they're really trying to figure out who said it, then sometimes people can lose interest in reading it because it's getting confusing and people tend to reject reading like that. The same goes for dialogue tags in the middle of dialogue going on. So now I'm going to show you two examples of where you have dialogue continuing, but then you have the dialogue tag right in the middle. Again, not common, but more common than where I've seen dialogue tags at like the very beginning of sentences. Our sentences are: I can't choose between them, Crystal argued. One Punch Man and My Hero Academia are both great animes. I like both of them too, Thomas explained, but I enjoyed reading One Piece more than watching it. Once again, notice the comma that is clearly separating the dialogue tags from the dialogue. Here we need an extra comma because we need to separate them on both sides. So again, there's a little bit more that needs to go on if you choose to have your dialogue tag in the middle, but it's a great way to show just differentiation and like spice things up a little bit so you don't have like he said, she said, he said, she said, like over and over and over again. So again, a little bit more difficult, but it really does pay off. If you split your dialogue with the dialogue tag, you need to make sure that you're still putting quotation marks around all of the dialogue. That means that now you have to put two sets of quotation marks around what Crystal and Thomas are saying. Our third example is probably the most common. It's definitely what I gravitate to the most when I'm writing in a narrative style, is to have the dialogue tag at the very end. I would say the majority of the authors that you've probably read have used this, but again, just because it's the most common doesn't mean you have to go against it, but it's a good place to start. So I'm going to give you guys 3 examples. Again, it's just like the first examples, except with Schnoz, Robbie, and Sarah, we're going to flip-flop them, so to speak. So instead, we would have, mint chocolate chip is the best ice cream, Schnoz muttered. I'm a nurse, yelled Sarah. What is going on? Robbie asked. So here we take special note that there may be 2 punctuation marks in these, where one may not be a comma and the other a period. So just so you guys know, it sometimes feels weird to put 2 punctuation marks in a sentence, but remember, your character deserves a punctuation mark, and then you as the author get a punctuation mark. So it makes sense that there would be 2. The sentence that you are saying, and then the sentence that your character is saying. Schnoz's sentence is traditional because he's using a declarative statement, which gets a period. Therefore, the dialogue gets the comma, and at the end of the sentence, we would have the period. In these examples, Sarah is using an exclamatory statement, while Robbie would be using an interrogative. Because of the exclamation, Sarah's dialogue would get the exclamation point. After the dialogue tag, there would still need to be a period because the writer is saying who yelled, being Sarah. Same thing for Robbie's dialogue. Because of the interrogative question, Robbie's dialogue would get the question mark. After the dialogue tag, there still needs to be a period because the writer is saying who asked the question. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Again, this was just a basics video. I will be making another video about dialogue with just a few standard questions that I had a lot of my students ask us here in the previous year, and I will have that out very soon. Don't be afraid to learn. Bye guys.